60%. That is roughly the number of restaurants that simply do not make it past their very first year. And, well, if you stretch that window out, the math gets even uglier. Most industry estimates put restaurant failures somewhere between 80 and 90% within just 5 years. Sit with that for a second, because it should sound completely insane. Restaurants are, by far, the most common small business people dream of opening, and yet they fail at a rate higher than almost anything else out there.
Section 1. The illusion versus reality. Peeling back the receipt.
Okay, so opening a restaurant obviously has this immense emotional appeal. You get to feed people, create a vibrant community spot, maybe even proudly name the place after your grandmother. But financially, the reality is absolutely brutal. Before a single plate is ever served to a customer, the costs stack up terrifyingly fast. You aren't just renting a room, right? You are building a highly regulated commercial facility. We're talking leasehold improvements, commercial ventilation, grease traps, specialized electrical work, which can run anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000. Then add up to $150,000 for commercial-grade kitchen equipment. Throw in furniture, design, and licensing. I mean, just getting a liquor license can cost tens of thousands of dollars all on its own.
So, all those stacked startup costs mean opening even a modest, independent spot requires $250,000 to $500,000. And if you're looking at a full-service restaurant, with a proper bar and a higher-end build-out, you are easily blowing past the $1 million mark before day one. And remember, that's before you've generated a single dollar of revenue to pay any of it back. It really highlights the sheer absurdity of opening a restaurant despite the massive odds.
Now you might be thinking, well, just get a cheap location. But unfortunately, restaurants are brutally, unavoidably tied to foot traffic. This forces owners into a super painful trade-off. On one side, a cheap location requires a massive marketing spend just to convince people to show up at all. On the other side, prime locations come with extremely high rent, sometimes quietly consuming 15 to 20% of all your revenue. So you're essentially just trading one highly expensive problem for another.
Section 2. The margin mirage, where revenue actually comes from. Let's say you've somehow opened the doors and the place is buzzing. Most customers just assume every dollar they spend on a meal goes straight into the owner's pockets. But take a look at the massive difference in the raw cost of goods. Food ingredients consume about 28 to 35% of your dollar immediately. Literally a third of your money goes just to the raw ingredients. But then, look at alcohol, an 18 to 24% cost. This brilliantly illustrates a key survival tactic. Resilient restaurants rely super heavily on the dramatically higher margins of alcohol sales. It's exactly why they design the lighting and the music specifically to make you want to linger and order another round.
But what about delivery apps? Surely those are easy extra revenue, right? Well, not exactly. Those third-party platforms charge massive commissions, anywhere from 15 to 30% of the total order value. When you stack that on top of your raw food and your labor costs, it can instantly turn a full-price delivery order into a break-even or actually even a loss-making transaction. It's a true double-edged sword that can quietly cannibalize a restaurant's overall profitability.
Section 3. The brutal cost structure. Surviving the daily grind. As we shift from revenue to the actual daily operations, a business is juggling multiple enormous fixed cost categories simultaneously. And here is the absolute kicker. These bills have to be paid regardless of how busy or slow the dining room actually is on any given night. You've got volatile food prices swinging with inflation, fixed rent, intense commercial utility usage, and heavy insurance liabilities. But the biggest killer? Inflexible labor costs, which eat up 30 to 35% of revenue. A restaurant cannot simply scale down its entire kitchen staff or unplug its commercial ovens on a super slow Tuesday night. You still need line cooks, you need servers, dishwashers, making labor and utilities punishingly inflexible compared to almost any other small business.
The crucial point here really comes together when we break down a single dollar of revenue. Look at that tiny sliver at the end. After food costs eat 33 cents, labor eats another 33 cents, and fixed costs like rent and maintenance eat 30 cents, a healthy, well-run restaurant is left with a claustrophobic, razor-thin net profit of just 3 to 6%. Literally let that sink in. Out of a $100 meal, the owner might keep $4.
And this completely explains why that packed dining room is a total mirage. In the industry, they call this covers versus profitability. A cover is just a guest served. But serving a ton of guests does not automatically guarantee profit when your financial cushion is this microscopic. One broken walk-in cooler, one really slow rainy week, or a single unexpected rent increase can literally wipe out an entire year's worth of accumulated profit in a matter of days.
Section 4. The hidden cash flow trap. The fatal mismatch.
The central mystery of why wildly popular places suddenly close their doors for good is almost never that the food went bad. It is cash flow timing. Think about it. Revenue comes in daily from diners, but massive expenses? Bi-weekly payroll hits, monthly rent is due in a massive lump sum, quarterly taxes drop. Because these huge expenses operate on completely different timelines than the daily revenue, a restaurant can have a fantastic sales month, but if payroll, rent, and say a broken commercial fryer all land in the exact same week, they hit a cash flow cliff. It triggers a cascading crisis that can shut down an otherwise perfectly viable business instantly.
Section 5. How to survive. Disciplines and models.
So, given this completely unforgiving environment, how does anyone actually manage to stay afloat? Well, you generally have two main operational paths: independent versus franchise. An independent spot gives you total creative control, and you keep all the profit, but it naturally carries the absolute highest risk of operational failure. Franchising, on the flip side, offers a proven model and dramatically lowers failure rates by removing that operational uncertainty. But the catch? 4 to 8% royalty fees plus 2 to 4% marketing fees. In a business that only has a 4% margin to begin with, those franchise fees permanently eat into your profits.
For those who choose to stay independent, surviving this invisible math requires mastering some pretty ruthless daily disciplines. First, strict portion control and recipe standardization, so food costs never creep up unnoticed. Second, hyper-efficient labor scheduling, matching your staff precisely to demand. Third, cultivating those high-margin bar programs we talked about earlier. And finally, building massive cash reserves to bridge those inevitable cash flow traps. Honestly, a single missed detail here is enough to sink the whole ship.
So we arrive at the ultimate question. Is owning a restaurant actually worth it? Despite the brutal, invisible math, the inflexible costs, and that staggering 80 to 90% failure rate, for the operators who master this intense daily discipline, there's a rare reward. They get to build a genuinely beloved, long-term community gathering place that goes well beyond the transaction happening at the table. But I will leave you with this thought to ponder the next time you dine out. You're not just paying for a meal on a plate. You're watching a daily economic miracle. When you look at the math, is the restaurant business a beautiful dream or just an exquisite financial trap? Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.